Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, wishing you a Thanksgiving and thanking you so much for spending your Thanksgiving with me. Guys, today is a tough one, right? Because we've been battling misinformation, disinformation, we've been battling oppression, we've been battling each other a lot in the last 8+ months. A division like I have never seen in this country before that went well beyond even left and right and was brought into the realm. If you questioned anything about the handling of a virus, you were put into a certain political spectrum. And that is incorrect. That is not true. So many people who are simply passerbys on my social media, people that have maybe heard an occasional rant or just know me from something outside of my work here, because there's been a lot of that too. Man, I was just thinking today how thankful I am that last night I wasn't serving, Long Island iced teas and Jack and Cokes, okay? Because that could have very well been the case, all right? But I guess not under the laws and provisions that were put in place in places like Pennsylvania or New York. And we're going to talk New York today. Big win in New York, big win for free speech, big win for freedom of religion, and big win barely by really the skin of my nuts. Okay, just this much, 5-4 ruling, where they said that these rules and restrictions against churches simply are not going to fly in New York, and that's the Supreme Court there. Okay, hopefully that's going to be a huge story today because it's so important in this great resistance that we push back in every way, shape, and form. So we're going to hit that story, and of course we're going to be talking about the latest in these court cases. And now you have Pennsylvania refusing to certify the vote. And it's almost like you're hearing silence on the other side of all these critics and all these people that were completely disingenuous. And I normally don't share my social media with people. If you follow me, you can check it out. But I really think I hit the nose on the head. The nose on the head. The nail on the head. With this post, because it really comes down to one thing, okay? And people out there who basically did not want to see Trump in, you need to ask them straight up, would you rather, in this case, okay, have a fair election, and if that fair election, a fair count, any corruption out, and if that fair election brings you Trump, you deal with it, or are you comfortable with, in this case, a rigged election that gives you anyone but Trump? What are you comfortable with? And 99% of those people that were posting things like everybody gets a participation trophy, or everybody's a winner society, or Trump throwing tantrums. The thing is that you would probably answer that question rigged in this case. Well, if you believe that, you don't really believe in a democracy. You don't believe in a constitutional republic. You don't believe in the will of the people. You don't believe in our system in any way, shape, or form. You don't believe in honesty. You don't believe in integrity. You are immoral. We all are immoral at some things. There's no doubt about it. But when you would cheat to get your guy in, okay, after you know that the guy that you're getting in and cheating for, a.k.a. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, whoever, whatever puppet they wanted to put up there, wasn't even your dude. Wasn't even your dude. Your dude, in most cases, and again, be honest with yourself. Now we're not talking about 99%, but I'd say over 80, was Bernie Sanders. And you know that Bernie Sanders got cheated in 2016 and 2020. You know they cheated them. You've admitted it to yourself. You've accepted it. You haven't kicked and screamed about it. So you're telling me if you've accepted that your dude got cheated on your end, and whether you realize it or not, you have some sort of mental illness that was exacerbated by media coverage of this presidency, okay? And you can't handle it. That should show you how weak-minded you are, how spineless you are, how you need to change your life immediately, how you need to look in the mirror and decide to be a better person. Or just outright admit that you believe in authoritarianism and that you're smarter than most people. You know what's best. And you want people like that in charge to tell us what to do, to tell us how to behave. Well, I'm not a child. And I still remember being a kid. You know, a lot of people, how do I put this? At a time like this, normally, the night before Thanksgiving, if you went home, you went to your parents' house, especially in those college years, right? What would a lot of us do? We would see friends that we hadn't seen, sometimes in months, sometimes in years, right? Oh, wow. Heidi came back for Thanksgiving, or, oh, it's going to be great to see Josh. You know? Now, when you go there, okay, when you go there, there are a certain amount of people that either have never left or have left. They've gone off into their normal lives. You're 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20 years down the line. I'm over 20 years graduated from high school now. I haven't seen a lot of these people, but, you know, something similar to what I'm going to tell you is what happens. You start drinking, you start hanging out. Someone turns to you and goes, man, if I could go back, you know what, man, if I could just go back and, play sports, they start reliving their glory days of sports and high school girlfriends, or even college, I went to college with some of these people. That's the big chat. Or, I wish I just didn't have all this stuff to worry about. I wish I was a kid again. I've never wished any of that. Never. I couldn't wait to have a job, be an adult, and get out of my house. I couldn't wait to make my own decisions. You ask my mother. Okay, probably from about the time I was 10 years old on, I was extremely frustrated that I was not in control of my own destiny in so many aspects of my life. And listen, the only thing, first of all, I've gone beyond a lot of the shit talk I used to do of what I was going to be and who I was going to be. Okay? Thinking I was going to be something different. I always thought I was going to be an animator. Somewhere in, the animation or cartoon field. That is where I thought I was going. Graphic design, that was also a possibility. I did get a job in that. The only really thing is that I'm not rich. I always thought I was going to be rich. Now, on the flip side of that, I've never taken any kind of social services from the government. Ever. Not once. Not as an adult. I think, grants and loans for college, and that's it. Obviously, going in from high school and filling all those things out. And I never will. I'm not going to take a universal basic income. I'm not going to be forced into things. I've stuck to a lot of my principles, surprisingly. And like I said, I couldn't wait to grow up. Well, a lot of adults out there, unfortunately, they want to go back. They don't want to grow up. So they that's why Orwell called it Big Brother. They want someone to look after them. They want someone to tell them how to behave, who to be, what's wrong, how it's going to be fixed, and then just go on with their zombie lives, okay? And that's not what I'm about. I'm about the fact that you can't go back. You can only push forward. You got to make the best, and there are great moments in life, right, of what you got. And don't let anybody tell you you can't do these things. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do these things, especially if you believe in your heart of hearts you can do them and you are good enough. And not only are you good enough, you're better than most. All right? And don't get me wrong. Some people may say, well, that's arrogance or that's ego. First of all, if you don't have confidence, you're never going to get there. If you don't have persistence, you're never going to get there. Because doors get shut all the time. And when they do begin to creak open, sometimes it's very, very hard to recognize that you need to go through them. Okay? So guys, I've been ranting and raving for about 10 minutes before we've even gotten this video up to snuff and started. I want to remind everybody, 7+ months demonetized on YouTube. Not much I can do about it. I've tried to review my channel. I feel like I'm on the cusp of being taken off the platform completely. We know that they are extremely arbitrary and they selectively enforce, everything. It's all selective enforcement. At the same time, it's the largest platform in the world for video. It's the second largest search engine. We're going to stick to it as long as we can. But it's only through your support that we're able to do this several times a day, and even on holidays such as today of Thanksgiving. And by the way, I hope you're all getting together with your family. Doom, I read your comment about your brother and what he wants to do in the house and the masks and the things, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. But I'm glad that you hopefully showed him some studies. Just show him Governor Newsom. Like laughing it up. They're laughing at you. They're laughing at you. And I kind of had a back and forth with my old biology teacher. Nothing bad or anything like that. Actually, very, very intellectually honest for those that, want to disagree. So he actually was quarantined away from his family of his son who was coming back overseas, and his wife who decided to stay with him in the house for like 2 weeks in the beginning of this. And I reached out to him. I asked him if he wanted to come on the show. He didn't love me in high school. I was a wise ass. I deserved it. But, I was putting out those CDC numbers. He challenged them. I gave him some more information. I haven't heard back yet, but at least he's willing to listen. And that's the thing. Some people are willing to listen. And he goes, when he was talking through, he's like, you can't sit there and call people sheep and expect them to respond. And I go, well, I don't. And I understand that. I go, if someone's going to be intellectually honest with me, I'm not here to name call. That's not what I'm here to do. I don't put sheep in my posts. Slave is a word I've been using a lot, but because I don't want my family to be enslaved, and I feel like that is what this is about at this point. It's do as I say, not as I do. It's this business can run, that business can't. It's, take a vaccine that Bill Gates tells you he doesn't know whether it's going to stop transmission or lower mortality rates, but it'll give you some antibodies for a time period. But you got to take it twice, and you got to get the symptoms of this thing. And they're not going to test you to see if you already had it and you have the antibodies first, but they'll still inject it in you. And it doesn't fly with me. So, I'm actually hoping that by talking to him, maybe I can change some minds. Okay? Maybe he can look at this and go, you know what, Jason, that actually is a really good point. I wasn't aware of some of these treatments. How do you stop a virus that in every randomized population tested, when you test the positives, 90+% are completely asymptomatic? How do you stop that virus? You don't. It's impossible with any kind of movement, with any kind of lockdown. Society must run. Seriously. That's just a fact. Okay? So, thank you guys who are joining me here live on Rockfin. We do it 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, even on Thanksgiving. We're doing it live. We're doing it free. We leave it up free for a day or two, and then we pull it back behind the premium. If you are supporting me premium style on Rockfin, thank you. It is $9.99 a month. You get all of my content. I feel like it's better than a Patreon, but what? You also get everybody else's content, and there's a lot of Richard Medhurst is dead on, man. Medhurst is really good. I like his passion. His videos are really good on here. Jimmy Dore's another one I encourage people to check out. Graham Elwood's had me on his program. He does really good stuff. We've been having Pasta from the Convo Couch on quite a bit. He does great work. Steve from Slow News Day. I could continue. And me being an MMA buff, I'm trying to get the Caged Aggression crew on here as well. You hear me, Caged Aggression? You need to get on Rockfin. And as you know, again, I made a dream come true. People laughed at me forever. Probably still laugh at me that I did it, right? They're probably going to be some, haters that, oh, Jason dared to go and call an MMA event and do it well and love it and enjoy his life. But if you can't enjoy your life, what in the world are you fighting for in the first place? So thumbs the video up, subscribe, and share. Okay, I want to get right into this. What is this right here? Why are we getting messages on the corner? Why is that popping up? I don't need any of that. Here it is. Here's my post after yesterday. Okay? Pennsylvania State judge sides with the GOP, halting election certification. Now, the governor is apparently going to fight this. Since when do governors get involved in corruption cases like this? Did this happen in Florida? Obviously, Jeb Bush was on the side of his brother and set sort of a template for the hanging chads and all the madness there as well. But I want to read this because I think I got it spot on. It doesn't matter what you believe about the election. And so far there's been crickets in the, can't wait to get Trump out crew. It's all a big joke to them. They've never looked at any of this. I watched some of the Rudy Giuliani press conference yesterday, and at the end of the day, he said that, he not only had affidavits, but he had 3 people that need to be subpoenaed and need to be protected that are going to account firsthand for voter fraud. Or election fraud. I shouldn't say voter fraud. Election fraud. So in that case, shouldn't we see that evidence? Shouldn't they be subpoenaed? And we're going to play that clip. Actually, we're not going to play that clip. We're going to play the clip where they talk about all these votes being flipped over in just the wackiest way. Trump tweeted it out. And under everything, take a look. I literally in this, the only time that I mention the election is that you don't, no matter what you believe, right? And I still get, see the results. Facebook's going to tell me the results. What the, man, this is going to piss me off. Close all chats. Thank you. Let's get rid of that. A lot of you out there have prematurely celebrated something you had no intention of looking into with any intellectual honesty whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, you don't actually believe in a constitutional republic or a democracy. Instead, you believe you're right. And in many cases, this year, blindly followed, echoed, and endorsed authoritarianism. Because you are better and smarter than the rest of us. I hope this is the beginning of a wake-up call. Because no matter what you believe about this election, Chaos 2020 rolls forward. And I am extremely sincere about that. I believe that. Again, because, this ruling doesn't mean that Trump's going to win. But you got to remember, guys, when I did my election night coverage, I specifically honed in on Pennsylvania because Biden specifically honed in on Pennsylvania. Okay? And because Biden was saying that in the end he was going to win, he was down by 700,000 votes there, I was like, that's going to be a focal point in the courts. And I got to be honest with most of you. I think that, especially when we're talking about this election, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. No matter what happens, okay? No matter what happens individually in each state, whether there's losses in Georgia, Nevada, Wisconsin, if there's wins in Pennsylvania and other states, at the end of the day, the whole thing is going to end up in the Supreme Court. All right? How quick that's going to be, I don't know. But I do know that Christmas could be a lot darker and different than even what Thanksgiving is. Yes, it could get darker than headlines of, dancing and singing might be on the outs this year. No more than 10 people in your home. Yeah, it could get darker than that. Who knows what next year brings? Okay? So it's really important that we pay attention to all this. Let's play this clip. This is just an excerpt, again, showing there is no intellectual honesty in a side that won't even look at evidence like this.
So at the very beginning of the chart where there's a circle, it says on election day. What that indicates is there is a spike in loaded votes, 337,000 plus or minus some votes that were added in there in one big batch. So that was an anomaly in the reporting. Normally you would expect to see a smooth curve going up, not any big spikes. That's kind of what Greg was talking about, the anomalies of loading and uploading those votes. So that big spike that occurs there is a prime indicator of fraudulent voting.
And that's 604,000 votes in 90 minutes, is that right?
Correct. This is 337 votes, 337,000 votes in that
period of time.
Yes.
And when you look at this entire curve with all these spikes, can you calculate how much of a vote that accounted for Biden and how much for Trump?
Close to 600,000. I think our figures were about 570 some odd thousand that all those spikes represent over time.
For Biden?
Correct.
And how much for Trump?
I think it was a little over 3,200.
Now remember, when Biden goes to Betty Bye on election night, the media is still reporting about 700K deficit. He's telling you about an almost 600K flip right there in that instance. That doesn't seem to make any sense. Okay, and again, when the President of the United States posts this claim about the election fraud is disputed. These disputes that are being put up via social media are unprecedented. Why? Why? All claims that go to court are disputed, you stupid motherfuckers. All right? No kidding, it's disputed. Okay? It doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's false. You know what you're putting up there, and you know why you're putting it up there. You're putting it up there for the weak. For the weak, for the ones that want to be dominated. Okay? Any claim that goes to court and has an opposition side claiming something else, true or not, is disputed. Hopefully that's not too harmful content to say that. I mean, come on. It's right there in your face. So I want to move on. And by the way, Cuomo actually defended in some sense Trump and the way the press has taken a tone with him, because now more and more people are taking a tone with Cuomo. And now he's coming to the realization that, in fact, this tone may be carried over into a Biden administration if, in fact, that's what happens in January. And he may down the line be a part of that administration. Believe that hype. Okay? So he's now, I don't believe he's sincere or that something slipped out from Andrew Capo Cuomo trying to defend Trump. He's just criticizing the press for the tone with the office of the president, because he realizes more and more the press are going to have to push back, because New York has become a hell pit. Breaking: U.S. Supreme Court blocks New York from enforcing COVID restrictions on churches. They have to get rid of the checkpoints. That's the next step. And they have to make sure the New York State Bar Association and their mandatory vaccinations are bye-bye as well. But this is a big win. But it's a bare win. It's so tiny. It's so tiny. The court apparently divided 5-4 with Roberts, Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan dissenting. Those people are disgusting. Okay? So this isn't even this is the real Supreme Court. So Judge Roberts, you should have known, Bush appointee, complete piece of trash. Sotomayor, another complete piece of trash. All Kagan, Breyer, all of them that voted for this. All of them. It's disgusting. And get ready, because you better believe it, the Supreme Court is going to be involved in this election case as well. But this is a big win. It's a big win. Okay? Oh, we already had that one there? Yes. This fired Trump lawyer Sidney Powell claims Iran and China used Venezuela voting machine software to rig election in favor of Biden and say 96,000 absentee ballots in Georgia were not recorded. And then they go after in typo-ridden lawsuits with flimsy expert evidence. So this is, again, Sidney Powell's been completely attacked. Obviously, she's the lawyer for Michael Flynn. Flynn gets a pardon yesterday. That should be briefly discussed. Again, Michael Flynn, one of those guys that was on the neocon agenda. I think he saw too much. I'm not saying he's any kind of a saint, but to grab him up with the Logan Act is absurd. I've been kicking and screaming about the Logan Act for 15 years, and there's plenty of people that could be charged with the Logan Act today, genuinely, and not just, in fact, Biden could be one of them. Biden's done a Bilderberg meeting as a guest. In fact, I would say this, more than likely, when they were in Chantilly, Virginia, and they were having those meetings outside the Bilderberg group with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, and they were very obvious because Barack Obama didn't even get on his plane. He let the press corps get on the plane. Robert Gibbs wouldn't tell people who he was meeting with while he was there. Gee, I wonder who he was meeting with. I'm sure Biden was in on those meetings. Okay, but you look at the Bilderberg group and what they are, and how they are a non-government entity of power players within governments, within corporations, internationally, within banking systems like the International Monetary Fund and beyond. And they're discussing treasonous behavior. Could have used the Logan Act a lot, a whole lot. And the whole Russiagate thing. Come on, man. In the immortal words of Joe Biden, come on, man. I saw a blue check mark trying to promote it the other day, saying now's the time to go after Flynn for Russian collusion now that he's been pardoned. What are you talking about? What kind of Xanax-induced nightmare is your life? So, again, Sidney Powell, there was that division. I think that what these lawsuits are going to be are going to be, the remnants after whatever decision is even made by the Supreme Court. These type of court cases, we'll see where they go. I'm not sure. They're goofing on her, but I think that's the wrong thing. And Amy Coney Barrett did the right thing this time. Will she do the right thing every time? I don't know. But the Supreme Court did the right thing for Thanksgiving, and that is something we have to be somewhat thankful for. So, guys, I want to thank you for joining me. All right. Remember, without you, I couldn't do this. $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. Big donors. Thank you so much. Again, without you guys, couldn't do it. So consider donating to the Burmis Brigade. Again, if you're not on Rockfin yet, get on Rockfin. If I'm taken off of YouTube, obviously this is where I'm going to be. Over 8,000 followers strong. Let's get it to 10,000. Let's go. Let's keep going and rolling and going and rolling and going and rolling. Because, again, this is a platform that promotes free speech, okay, instead of enabling censorship and the utter slavery of not only the population, but our minds. Our minds are important, guys. They are. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. And remember, guys,
The committee concluded the likelihood of conspiracy.
I am a documentary filmmaker. That's one of them. That's Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined. Shade the Motion Picture, Fabled Enemies, and Loose Change Final Cut are all available free in my playlist section. And if you haven't seen my films, maybe now's the time. I got a text message from one of the crew over at the Caged Aggression crew. And he watched Shade. He said, hey, man, really great job with Shade. Thank you. I put a lot of hard work into all those documentary films, but I'm also trying to give you a well-produced product on top of the information so you can share it with others. And that's from 7 years ago. I was exposing Bill Gates. 7 years ago. And I was exposing Bill Gates even before that. He gets a small tidbit of a sliver in Invisible Empire, but he gets a nice meaty steak portion in Shade. So if you haven't checked those films out, now's the time to do it. Guys, I love you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on the flip side. Happy Thanksgiving!